Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be allowed to speak about my present research. My name is Daewoong Choi, and I'm from Korea University in Korea. Today, my presentation includes how to improve the existing virtual keyboards using all finger positions. As the number of touchscreen devices increases, the virtual keyboards have become more common these days. However, the current virtual keyboards are slower, less convenient, and less accurate than the physical keyboard. One of those reasons is that users often unintentionally enter the adjacent keys in the same row or column. We call the typing errors occurred in the same row as the horizontal typing error. It accounted for about 43% of whole typing errors. And the typing errors occurred in the same column were called as the vertical typing error. It accounted for about 15% of them. To improve these problems of virtual keyboards, we therefore propose two observations. First, we focus on the typing habit of skilled typists. Most typists have run common keyboard typing method. For example, their hands put on the home row keys before typing, and the left middle finger can use to enter the E, D, and C keys, so on. Through this running process, skilled typists already know all key locations and which fingers to use to enter a given letter. So, you can see from the figure, we propose that each key column is allocated to the corresponding finger. This allows each finger to enter its pre-allocated keys only. Therefore, most horizontal typing errors can be reduced. The second observation is to consider the correlations between all fingers, including touching and non-touching fingers. This slide shows the existing and proposed text entry. In the case of existing text entry, a target key is determined by a touch point only. However, in our case, we decide a target key by using the correlations between all fingers as well as touch point. We think that these correlations can help to determine the typist target keys. Furthermore, these correlations may help mitigate the vertical typing errors. Now, we must check whether the correlations really exist. To do this, we ran the first of two experiments. First of all, I will explain the experiment environment. This figure shows a keyboard display. In Kai 2011, Finlay et al. Said personalization, such as each key size and keyboard shape, was an important factor for improving virtual keyboards. So our keyboard was generated based on 10 finger touch points for personalization. It was usually arch-shaped, as you can see from the figure, and then the pre-allocation of keys applied to the keyboard. When a keto was entered with a correct finger, two-dimensional coordinates of all fingers were saved. It was to alleviate the effect of the typist mistake. Next, this figure shows our experimental setup. It includes two parts, display and touch surface. The touch surface was implemented in laser light plane method, and participants' all fingertips were tracked using several color markers. In the first experiment, 10 skilled typists participated. Then they completed 80 test phrases over the 4 times. At that time, all phrases said consisted of English pangrams to consider all letters in alphabet. After all participants finished their tasks, we acquired about 40,000 label data. Since two sums were use it to only enter the spacebar only, we did not analyze them. The multinomial logistic regression was used to analyze the correlations between all fingers and the alphabetic keys. Now, let's turn to several results of the first experiment. Let's see the two following tables. First of all, I will explain some formula. Dependent variable was the keys allocated to each finger, and several independent variables were two-dimensional locations of all fingers. For example, K middle means the key allocated to the middle finger, and X middle means X-axis value of the middle finger. Just like the X middle, Y middle means Y-axis value of the middle finger. Therefore, these tables implies which fingers to correlate with the touching finger. The cells highlighted in red circle mean that the independent variable did not correlate with the touching finger. In summary, each finger has correlations with most of the other fingers in both sense, except that right ring finger did not correlate with the middle finger when the right middle finger touches. As shown in these figures, this shows inference accuracies of key classification. Figure A shows key classification accuracy using logistic regression with only the location of the touching finger, while figure B shows values for logistic regression using all finger positions. As an evidence of supporting our second observation, the model using all finger positions had higher estimation accuracies than the other. So we tried to implement new virtual keyboards using our two observations. To implement the virtual keyboards, we used the logistic regression equation. The equation is expressed as follows. All coefficients of the equation were generated as a result of logistic regression. To take an example, here are all coefficients of the left middle finger. The coefficients for each independent variable are assigned from A1 to A8. When a finger touches the surface, the X and Y axis value of each finger are multiplied by the corresponding coefficients and accumulated. At the time, the key that has the highest G value among the keys allocated to touching finger is inferred as a target. Through the first experiment, we found out the correlations between all fingers, and this could be a value to the virtual keyboard. And then we conducted the second experiment to find out how effective our two observations for virtual keyboards really are. For performance comparison, 3 different types of virtual keyboards were implemented using same experimental setup. First, the normal keyboard was a virtual keyboard without our two observations. Second, the pre-allocation keyboard, or P keyboard for short, is a virtual keyboard with pre-allocation of keys but no multinomial logistic regression. Last keyboard is pre-allocation and correlation-aware keyboard, or PC keyboard for short. Our two observations apply to this keyboard. In the second experiment, 9 skilled typists who participated in the first experiment were recruited again, and each participant performed 5 sessions for keyboard, and all sessions were spread over 3 consecutive days. Also, the order in which the keyboards were used was counterbalanced. We replaced the backspace key with a right to left swipe gesture with all fingers of the right hand except the thumb. It is because the supporting backspace key might cause the posture of right hand to be lost. To compare 3 different keyboards with respect to typing speed and error rates, we used a 2-way repeated measure ANOVA. To measure typing speed, WPM matrix was used, and to compare several error metrics were used to measure error rates. First, the corrected error rate is the ratio of the errors that are subsequently fixed by users during text entry. Second, not corrected error rates is the ratio of errors that are left in the transcribed text at the end of each trial. Last is total error rate is sum of the corrected error rate and not corrected error rate. As a result of ANOVA, there were differences between 3 keyboards with respect to the typing speed and error rates. As you see, the figure shows the result of WPM, TER, CER, and NCER. In the figure, normal keyboard is presented in yellow, and P keyboard does in green, and PC keyboard does in red. In case of WPM, in case of typing speed, the normal keyboard was 23.26 WPM, P keyboard was 28.89 WPM, and PC keyboard was 31.62 WPM. So the normal keyboard had the slowest typing speed. And then, in the case of error rates, normal keyboard was 10.24%, and P keyboard 8.81%, and PC keyboard 7.59%. So the normal keyboard also had the highest error rates. However, there was no difference between P keyboard and other keyboards based on the result of the ANOVA. At the time, we compared 3 keyboards with respect to vertical and horizontal typing errors. As a result, the horizontal typing error of the PC keyboard were about 54% more than the normal keyboard, but there was no difference between P and PC keyboard. And in the case of vertical typing error, normal and P keyboard were about 7.3% and 2% more than the PC, higher than the PC keyboard respectively. Let's look at the above figures. This figure shows 2 touch offset clouds of the left middle finger when typing on the normal keyboard and the PC keyboard. The left side shows the clouds of normal keyboards, and the other shows those of PC keyboard. From this figure, we can see that the PC keyboard showed larger touch offset distribution. In addition, there was larger overlapped area between vertically adjacent keys on the PC keyboard than the other. Therefore, this implies that sometimes PC keyboard could enter the key which the typist wants to type. In conclusion, I'd like to summarize my presentation. First, one major reason that current virtual keyboards are slower to use is the horizontal and vertical typing errors. To improve these typing errors, we propose a pre-allocation of keys and correlation between all fingers. Through the 2 experiments, we found out the correlations between all fingers and implement a novel virtual keyboards. Finally, we show that our novel virtual keyboards outperform the existing virtual keyboards with respect to all aspects. Thank you very much for your listening.
Oh, hi. Oh, that was very nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, Yes.
questions?
Hyeonjoong B from Google. Very nice work. I'm just wondering, in your presentation, you use, so in your technique, you track the 10-finger position and use this information to improve the keyboard. But when we touch on keyboard, we have like 10 touch points or 9. But how do you know which touch point is generated by which finger?
Could you ask it slowly and
Like in your keyboard, you use information of 10-finger positions to improve the keyboard performance. So when we type, we have multiple touch points from multiple fingers. But how do you know which finger generates which touch point? How do you allocate touch point to a finger? Like you use the position of index finger, thumb, or the little finger, but how do you know which touch point is generated by little finger, which one is generated by index finger?
Are you asking about how this correlation improve the virtual keyboard?
I think he's asking, how do you know which finger you were using? How are you tracking the fingers?
How do I track the?
Yeah, but how do you know the position of each finger on touch screen?
We can several color markers on the participants' or fingertips, and bottom on the camera track these points.
Okay.
Okay. Then we know the.
I got it. So you use camera to track the
using
finger. Okay.
Using camera and
the
some
color
calibration
color,
process. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
I guess I have a question, actually. I wanted to know, something interesting came up in your results. The non-corrected error rate seemed like it was actually higher for your PC keyboard compared to the other conditions. Can you maybe comment on why that might be? So I think it's the bottom right graph.
Bottom right graph.
Yeah, it seemed like the non-corrected error rate was a bit higher.
This graph shows the NCER graph, but our two-way repeated measure ANOVA in ANOVA, but there was no difference between three keyboards. So we don't think that
Not significant.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.